Blog Talk Radio.
Hitting buttons. Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. Give it to you how you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to get the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Roll with the topic, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4 for 26, so the war ain't Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
What's up, War Room family? One live War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports. On the War Room Sports podcast, I'm one of your hosts, I'm Dev McMillan. And right now, I'm flying this puppy solo because my co-hosts have not arrived yet. But we're going to get everything underway either way. The show must go on. We're about to talk about some of the issues was the past week in sports. Stay here with us, and if you want to get in on the conversation, just make sure you sign in right now. The Bodyhood chat room, radio.com/the War Room. Or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 10 minutes after we talk some college football with the homie Fred Purdue. And we open up that Digital Extreme Tech hotline. The number is 323-410-0012. But before we get started, like I always tell you, before we do this, man, when we're not live on the air, I need everybody out there to make sure that you check out archive episodes of our show on our own network at warroomsports.com and the War Room Sports mobile app, also on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Anchor, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. Wherever you do your podcast listening, we are bound to be there. Just make sure you go ahead and do a check, and we'll be with you. 1 second, because I believe I might be having some audio issues here. So let me fix that before we get the homie Fred Purdue on the line. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, man, like I said, it's been a wild week in sports. It's been a wild week, period, in America, as usual. And like we talk a little bit of politics at the top of each show. We all know what's going on right now. The impeachment hearings are going on in Washington. I don't even know how many people know this, but we just averted another government shutdown. Actually, I haven't even heard official word that what the House of Representatives passed to Congress. I never heard Congress's word on it, but actually tonight was the deadline for funding to run out, and they passed a short-term resolution that'll have us right back here a month from now on December 20th trying to avert another shutdown. But in sports, man, we had the whole Colin Kaepernick debacle down in Atlanta. We're definitely going to talk about that. And we had the situation with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph that people have been talking about all week. So we're going to get to all of this today in this episode of the War Room. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little Miami Hurricane business with the homie Fred Purdue. And Hot Topics brought to you by MyBookie. War Room. You can make a lot of bread sports betting at MyBookie. The NFL is nearing its stress run, and the NBA is a full go. That is when the players aren't load managing. So if you still haven't checked out MyBookie, this is the perfect time to do that. Lay down some scratch on the biggest games in sports. Join us, the War Room, and thousands of other online players placing bets at mybookie.ag. You tired of getting a runaround from other services when it's time to collect your pay? That's why we urge you to join MyBookie. You win, they pay fast and without hassle. You're wasting your time sports betting anywhere else. They even have in-game live betting so you can place wagers after the game start. So join now, and MyBookie will match 50% of your first deposit up to $1,000. So just use the promo code WARROOM, that's all caps, WARROOM, to activate this offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. Play, win, get paid. That's all there is to it. All right, so we're going to go to the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline because we got our first guest on the line. We got the homie Fred Perdue from Locked On Canes, from the Locked On Podcast Network, here to talk a little bit about his Miami Hurricanes. Fred, what's going on? Good brother. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Sounds like you rolling solo today, man.
You know, rolling solo. Other pilots, you know, I don't know. They in the bathroom with the runs aside. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. It's just, you know. But I'm at the controls here, so we gonna do this. But how are you though? How's your week going so far?
Been good, man. Been good. Miami's coming off a bye week, so nobody's losing, and I got a little bragging rights on you, so of course.
I knew that was gonna come. Go ahead, Patriot fan, get it over with.
I won't. I'm gonna just say. Yeah, I was just going. You know, we didn't play great, but things happen, and right now, I think you guys kind of made us look a little silly. The offensive line hasn't been looking great, so I'm not really impressed. I'm kind of like Tom Brady. I'm not impressed with this right now.
I just hope, you know, we can give any type of information and any type of blueprints to those Dallas Cowboys that y'all got to play.
Oh, no.
Coming up. And B. Austin is in the building finally. What's up, sir? How are you?
What's a guan, my youth? What's a guan? Listen, Fred, I'm just going to say this. My defense won, even if my offense lost.
Oh, no. But your team lost, so I'm okay.
With that performance? You was cool with that? Oh, okay.
So,
no, not really.
Hey, a win is a win. Fred, this is all I got to say. And if you got to make the call up to Foxborough, do whatever you got to do, you just make sure that they're a little more ready to play this week. I can't have y'all losing to these dudes, especially now. Chasing them.
I refuse to lose to the Cowboys.
I hope so. That's why I said make the call and make sure they're refusing just like you're refusing.
I need 500. I need 505 yards per game. Tom Terrific coming up, man. I need them to hang 76. Psycho Tom. I need all that.
Okay.
Pretty much. All right, but let's talk about the U real quick. And, you know, Miami versus FIU. Some more Florida rivalry type stuff. But, you know, of course, FIU doesn't have the reputation of a Miami, Florida State, you know, those type of guys. But, you know, this rivalry, from what I hear, especially, you know, all my years of working with Fred, it means something, you know, to past and present Hurricanes players and fans. So put us down with the meaning of this Miami versus FIU game.
So there really isn't a rivalry if the other team doesn't win. So I don't want to call it a rivalry. The last time these two teams played was in 2006 when, you know, we were showing Myles Garrett when he was a small child.
Fred cocky. Fred out here.
Well, I guess in-state, I don't know, I guess you can't call them rivals, in-state cousins. I don't know, little cousin gets beat up every few years.
What it is a lot of the same players that are still playing for FIU could not become Miami Hurricanes because Miami just isn't going to recruit those guys. They're too small, too slow.
He just called them Florida rejects, Miami rejects.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, it is what it is. It's how recruiting works. And the thing about recruiting is, you know, some guys just aren't. You know, you can play at that division. You can play at the Division I level. You're just playing at a lower tier. You're going to play at a FIU. You're going to play at a Cincinnati. You may even play at, God forbid, FAU. So, I mean, those guys are still a guy that plays at Miami who might be a 3-star type of guy is a 5-star caliber player at a lower tier school. So, you know, it's a thing. But quite honestly, what the biggest memory of these two teams.
Hold on, Fred, real quick. Let me break that down to our listeners. Basically, what Fred's saying is, at Miami, you don't really go to class, and you drive the hot lift,
we
and
go
you got the IG model. And at FIU, you're a student athlete, and your GPA may be above 3.2. I think I captured that pretty well.
Not so fast. But, I mean, one T.Y. Hilton did go to FIU. That's their most probably.
Well, Florida Atlantic, I happen to know Florida Atlantic produces nerds, and they go to class. They don't win, but they go to class.
And FAU is, I mean, they're two different schools, FIU, FAU. But the thing is, I think what people mainly remember about FIU is the fight that happened in 2006 where Brandon Merriweather showed a young Myles Garrett how to swing a helmet at another an opponent's face. You know, that's where he learned that from. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And that the teams haven't played since then. And a lot of
is that the Brandon Merriweather that channeled his inner gangster and his inner who's the safety from the Raiders that committed assault on the field?
Oh, you're talking Jack Tatum back in the day.
Jack Tatum. Brandon Merriweather channels his inner Brandon Jack Tatum, right? That's the Merriweather you're referring to?
Yeah. Very much so.
Gotcha.
But, you know, I think the thing about this game, too, is this game is going to be played. It's not just a typical game. It's being played in a neutral site. But this neutral site isn't just any neutral site. This neutral site is is at the location of the old Orange Bowl, which is now Marlins Park. And Miami Hurricane fans are a little bit weird about it because we don't like the fact that we had our stadium taken away for an MLB team that sucks. But at the same time, it is business. And
money talks.
You know, the old OB has so many great memories that, I mean, how many times have you seen a wide left, a wide right, or a Florida State team losing, a Florida team losing, Notre Dame, Oklahoma? I mean, you can, whatever you want, you can think of in the college game, how many ever upsets. I mean, Miami won its first national title at its home stadium. So, you know, against Oklahoma. So many memories come back, and I think you're going to see a lot of former players coming out to just reminisce. And the newer players, the young guys now while they may have not even been alive or also small children when this stadium was demolished, it's part of the culture to understand what this stadium meant to that program.
Right. Well, I'm happy to say I got to see the U Rock at the Orange Bowl before they demolished it. But yeah, so I get it. So, you know, they're playing them at this neutral spot. How do you think? Well, I mean, because a lot of the people who attend Miami and go and actually play football for the school, you know, a lot of those guys are from there, like you said. So they kind of know the history on all of this too. So do you think, you know, the feelings of the fans and the surrounding area, do you think that trickles down to the actual football players?
Of course it does. It definitely does. I mean, you're going to be dealing with seeing a lot of these players they played against each other in high school. I mean, I know I probably sound like I slandered a lot of these players, but in reality, yeah, you're a reject, but it's not like it's on purpose. It's just you're like a Tutu Atwell, you know.
You're bummed by mistake.
Yeah, it's not on purpose.
You just weren't born big enough. Your genes
I mean,
whack.
If you've ever seen the HBO special Liberty City, they talk about a player who plays for Louisville, Tutu Atwell. Well, he played at Louisville. He's on the Louisville team now, and he had a big touchdown against Miami 2 weeks ago in their matchup. The only problem is he could have been a Miami guy, but the problem is he's 5'6" and 60 pounds. He's too small. Miami will not recruit him, but he runs a 4.3. He's probably a 4.3, sub 4.3 kind of guy with the ball in his hand. And it's
Boykins fastish.
Yeah, he ran away from Miami players, and I'm not talking about the slow linemen. I'm talking about the DBs that run 4.3, 4.4. He's just running away from guys. But again, he's too small, and there's no role for him at a school like a Miami. But at a Louisville, he's like a 5-star prospect because he has everything he wants.
Fred is crazy.
Fred's hockey game is immaculate. Like, Fred talks shit like, I respect it, Fred. Fred, you talk that intelligent arrogance.
All over everybody. FIU, now Louisville. All right, so it's interesting. It's interesting because, it just adds a little something to a game that a lot of outsiders probably wouldn't care for. But before we get you out of here, man, I definitely got to ask you about this. In our time of talking college football, we've talked a lot of Alabama. We've talked a lot of Tua. Tua, down again. This one seems more serious than anything he's dealt with before. And, the first name that comes up when everybody gets afraid, something like this, is Bo Jackson. What are your thoughts on this? I know nobody can predict what's going to happen as far as whether he'll play again or not. That's for the doctors and modern medicine and all that kind of stuff. My question is, if he steps back onto the field, do you think he could ever, resume the level he was at? Can he still step onto an NFL field and be great?
First off, I'd like to say, Nick Saban, I've never questioned you in my life. From Michigan State to LSU to Alabama. Nick Saban, you get one more time at this. You have a fireable offense just now. That's literally how I feel about it. It's a fireable offense. You had a national championship waiting. I mean, literally, you had a national championship. Just you could sneak in the back door. You pick the lock, sneak in the back door, steal all the cookies, and leave. I mean, I'm just saying that's what was going to happen. But then you left Tua out. I mean, Tua's your best option. It is what it is.
So you mad at him, even though it was still the first half?
Yeah, I'm big mad at him. You have a 35.
Because you don't think
lead.
You don't think at halftime he probably would have sat him down and let everybody else rock?
No, he was gonna sit him down anyway, and he had already sat him down. But Tua says, "I want to go back in the game." No, sir, you don't get to go back in the game. There is no going back in the game. I mean, if I'm Nick Saban, you better sit your Hawaiian self down and literally do what I say. I'm in control of your life because I have to talk. That's how I feel it. And yeah, I'm.
What's your name, boy? Coon.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it. No, your starting quarterback when you have a 4 touchdown lead should never be in the game.
Fred, we're gonna name this episode Fred Flexes.
Yes, I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I mean, because it looks like a situation where his stock is definitely going to drop, and some of the stuff that we talked about in our chat, myself, Tobias, who we'll be getting to on the line shortly, we were saying stuff like, even though it may take from his pockets, he might end up now on a pretty good team.
It will put him in a better
position. He might end up on the New England Patriots and get to learn from Tom Brady for a year or two. So you never know how it's going to play out. And the crazy thing is, though, after we talked about that, a couple of days later, somebody actually wrote an article that featured that thought in it. Everybody always spying on our conversations, but I mean, but that could be how his career plays out, and that could only be a positive. You know what I'm saying? A lot of quarterbacks, no matter how highly touted they are, a lot of them get into these bad situations because they are good enough to be first pick, second pick. They get into these bad situations, and all of their flaws are exposed, but they're with such bad organizations that they can never come back from it. You get into a situation where you were on your way to being, one of the top picks, and then something derailed that. You get on a good team.
How you're with the evil empire.
That could be a whole different, Yeah. I mean, because we don't know. Like, look at Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he was lucky that things happened the way they did. He had a chip on his shoulder that people passed on him, but there was no telling if Aaron Rodgers jumped into a team that needed him right away. He jumped out there as a rookie that he wouldn't be average right now. So
what if Alex Smith is a Packer, and what if Aaron Rodgers is a 49er? Are their fortunes a little different? I think so.
They could be, because right now, everybody, Alex Smith, just got good, 2 years ago.
like a year and a half. A year and a half.
He just got good.
He figured it out.
You were the number one pick a long time ago. It's, 19 years in.
33.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He was so old when he got good. He was already, about to be replaced. At every place that he went, Kaepernick replaced him. Then you go to Kansas City, and you're pretty good there for a little while. But they got a dude sitting there waiting to, he's been a good stopgap bridge quarterback.
I'll say this about Tua, and you mentioned Bo Jackson. I'll say he didn't have the same injury as Bo Jackson, but you have to remember Bo Jackson also played on an injured hip and continued playing on it versus Tua. He went down and he was crying about it because it hurt really bad. I mean, those are totally different situations. But what derailed Bo Jackson's career wasn't necessarily the injury. So even though their injuries are different, what they don't want with Tua, now I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the word. It's 2 words actually, and I think the second word might be necrosis. Whatever it is, Bo Jackson had something set in his hip that kind of eroded it, and they said that could happen in the Tua situation. But if they act fast enough, they may be able to prevent that from happening. So it wasn't actually the dislocation, fracture, whatever happened to Bo Jackson's hip. It was the erosion afterwards, and for some reason,
from the lack of blood flow.
Right. So they did.
Let me ask both of y'all this, and I'm not really familiar with Tua other than butchering his last name, Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is. I need to know from y'all, where did you guys see him or project him going in the draft, and what do you see in his skill set and talent as an NFL quarterback? Because I'm super unfamiliar with his body of work. I really am.
Tua is a guy that – go ahead, Dev. I got you. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, from all that we've seen from him, before he started with the back and forth with the little nagging injuries, he was, in my opinion, somewhere between the first and third quarterback that was going to get picked in this upcoming draft. I think, Joe Burrows has burrowed his way, no pun intended, into that number 1 spot at this point. So, Tua may have, injury or not, he may have lost that distinction, but he was going to be one of the higher quarterbacks picked. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fred. I know you do this for a living.
Well, I have a little bit of intel from a few people that are actually in NFL circles, working for NFL teams, and I'll tell you, the NFL doesn't see him as a number 1 overall pick type of guy. They see him as more like a 13 to 17 type of guy. And he can be a franchise quarterback, but the injuries are going to be a problem. He's small. I mean, he's going to probably top out at maybe 6'1 1/4, 6'1 1/2, probably about 210-ish. I see Russell Wilson without the takeoff, and he's where Russell is he's extending plays. Tua's the guy that he's great with a clean pocket. The only problem I've seen from him is he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, so he needs great conditions. So if you put him in Cincinnati, good luck, because it's just not going to work. You put him in a place like Miami, give him an offensive line, give him some help, I can see him being successful. The one thing you have to worry about is that he has never played with a lot of adversity. I mean, in reality, he has 3, maybe 4 first-round pick wide receivers on one team, and it's the nature of playing at Alabama. But at the same time, I look at it and I say to myself, he's capable. I would love to see him on a team like the Chargers, where you can learn from Phillip Rivers, learn his mistakes, have a chance to do the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre thing. Sit him, do it the way real good quarterbacks are supposed to be developed. Let him sit for maybe a year, 2 years. If in reality, I love him to sit 2.5. Then you say Phillip Rivers has been cool. We no longer need your services. Unfortunately, that's the way it should be. I don't believe
that's about to happen a lot sooner than later by all reports.
Ideally, and give me your thoughts on this one, guys. What do you think? Matt Ryan is an average quarterback. I mean, to me, Matt Ryan is an average system quarterback, right? He puts up big numbers, but it's kind of the nature of the NFL. Give Tua the same things he has at Alabama now, right? You give him Julio Jones, you give him Calvin Ridley, get him a tight end. He has a running back. That team can be really good, and they don't run the ball a ton anyway. Put him in that offense with Dirk Cutter and let him sling it around. I mean, what could it hurt?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can call Matt Ryan average. He ain't.
I can give you
MVP
10 quarterbacks better than Matt Ryan, even if they've already retired.
Who?
I can give you 10 quarterbacks. I'd rather have over his time in the NFL. I can give you 10 guys I really like more than Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but that don't make him average.
That's not an average.
Better.
I'll put it like
that makes 10 dudes better. Don't make them average.
I can
name 20 quarterbacks better than Hall of Famers. But don't you know what I mean?
I would take a guy like a Matthew Stafford all day long over a Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not going to win. He's not going to win you the big one.
So you call Matt Ryan average and call Matthew
Stafford plays on a team that does not.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Dev? You know what it is, Dev? With Fred. Fred sees. Remember, this guy loves the underwear Olympics. Matthew Stafford's athletic ability and arm talent is definitely superior to Matt Ryan, but that doesn't make the results on the field.
Yeah, I mean, and he also in the new era puts up Dan Marino numbers, but at the same time,
but you also
because if you say to me that if you brought Matt Stafford's name up and said, I think Matt Ryan might be around his level, then I would have given you that. But you diss Matt Ryan and then bring up Matt Stafford as the better guy. Matt Ryan
I think Matt Ryan is.
He's accomplished way more than Matt Stafford, though.
But
Matt Stafford just put up a bunch of empty numbers. No doubt.
He's in the division he's in. He'll never win anything as long as that bad man in Green Bay is there. I mean, that's just a fact. Also, you're on very
there's
dysfunctional
such thing as a wild card. They can't beat anybody. You can't blame his whole existence of failure on one dude,
which is a joke. I mean,
Green Bay's been down for a few years, so you can't use him as an excuse. Matt Stafford is a number compiler who I happen to like, but he doesn't get it done.
Listen, and that's real, and I will acknowledge as long as Jimmy is not present on the phone on the show. Like, look, Brett Favre did have a problem gunslinging, and he had some grandsons walking around in the NFL, and Matthew Stafford was one of the first grandsons. Matt Stafford will throw the rock perfectly 10 straight times, but there's going to come a time where his ego makes him feel that he can fit it in between 5 people and a ghost, and the pick is coming. And he takes those chances historically throughout his career, and that's something that Matt Ryan doesn't do. He's not as careless with the ball.
Matt Ryan he's had Julio Jones, too. He doesn't have to worry about taking chances. Just saying.
Matt Stafford, he put up a lot of numbers with a binky, with a security blanket too. Dude just happened.
What's that security blanket?
Yeah, he did have.
Still putting up those same numbers without that security blanket. I'm just putting it out there. If you gave
that's what I'm saying. I don't dislike him. I'm just saying, how are we giving Matt Stafford props, and we're calling Matt Ryan average. They're damn near the
Matt
same
Ryan,
dude.
to me, is the ultimate nowadays. For nowadays, he is comparable to Kirk Cousins to me, because you put a lot of talent around him. He looks great.
We lived in DC, dog. We know what Kirk Cousins is. That was an insult.
It is. It is. It's a very big insult. If you take Julio Jones off of, I'll put it to you like this: take Julio Jones off of that Falcons team. Is that team even? And Calvin Ridley's your X receiver. Are you okay with? Is Matt Ryan doing the same thing?
Listen. You know what this is. You know what this is. Matt Ryan is Reggie Miller, and Stafford is Ray Allen. Ray Allen look a whole lot better with what he can do with the rock in his prime, but he ain't really. There ain't much. In fact, I actually would take Reggie, but skill-wise, that's kind of where you're going. If I can make that analogy. I mean, I think you're slighting. I think you're slighting Matt Ryan by placing him average, but going to Matt
at least got to be on
like,
the same level, man.
Yeah, like
he's like he average. I think Stafford will. I'm like, damn, killed him. All right, but we way off topic.
Yeah, I know.
We are out of time. But Fred, we of course, let everybody know where they can listen to your show and where they can catch you on social media when they want to hear some ish being talked about college football and the Miami Hurricanes.
You can catch me on Twitter at FredPurdueCFB. You can catch the show on Twitter, Locked On Canes. I have an actual beef with the team that Miami's about to play. Go check out my thoughts on their now head coach and former Miami Hurricanes head coach Butch Davis. Check out my thoughts on that. You can find
definitely gonna check that out. See Fred call him some rejects again. All right, man. We'll wrap to you next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
All
right, Fred.
Yeah. Fred just poo-pooed on Matt Ryan. Like the more garbage and said Stafford. You got a quarterback like Jay Cutler.
My whole thing is,
what up, Jim?
There you go again. That's my point. Jay Cutler in a vacuum is a super talented QB, like arm talent wise. But the results on the field is really what we should be weighing. It's like one guy gets to it's like what I like to call spectacular mediocrity. Like Matthew Stafford is spectacular in his mediocrity, the way he gets there, but the end result is mediocrity.
All right, man.
Whoa. Jay Cutler is what?
Jay Cutler is mediocrity.
Jay Cutler is below mediocrity. Jay Cutler is a piece of
Jay Cutler is arm talent. He's arm talent.
Yo, arm talent. Yo, Jamarcus Russell was arm talent.
A lot of people arm talent. They ain't got no brain talent. All right, look, man. It has been absolutely, and we're going to get you on in a minute, Tobias, because we're going to get your opinions on some of this stuff. It has been absolutely wacky week in the NFL, man. Started last Thursday after we got off the air with that game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland beat up on the Steelers a little bit. Game got a little contentious at the end. Little is an understatement when, with about 8 seconds left in the game, Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph after he threw the ball. I don't know if he didn't know that he threw the ball. So he hit him, had his arms completely wrapped. He's on top of him. They start struggling. Mason Rudolph wants to get the dude off of him, so he starts doing some stuff that's going to basically poke a bear, and I'm not using this as an analogy. That dude, Myles Garrett, is a goddamn bear. A scrum ensued, and when they got off the ground, the next thing we know, Mason Rudolph's helmet is in Myles Garrett's hand. some of his Pittsburgh Steelers teammates are trying to get in between them. And as that's going on, Mason Rudolph is still trying to charge because, you're a tough guy now when you got all the linemen in front of you. Next thing we know, Myles Garrett was trying to play whack-a-mole with Mason's helmet with Mason's head. The fallout was quick. Your man Myles Garrett got an indefinite suspension from the league. These were the original suspensions. We'll talk about the appeals and what happened to that later after we give our initial thoughts. He was suspended indefinitely and fined something like $45,000. I don't know if that's the total fine or if that's per game. I don't know what it is. Pouncey, Marquise Pouncey was suspended 3 games because, he came to his quarterback's aid, so he was in there trying to punch and De Niro stomp Myles Garrett while he was on the ground. And somebody else from the Cleveland Browns, he's so, minute to the story. I forgot his name. Plus it's difficult to pronounce. He got a 1-game suspension for his role, and I'll get his name in a minute. So what were you guys' thoughts when you saw this? Because it was one of those polarizing situations. I noticed it it got that way as the days went on because at first, everybody's reaction was like, whoa, Myles Garrett is tripping, this and that. But by the next afternoon, it seemed like Mason Rudolph was the bad guy to everybody on social media. And some of the talking heads, he started to be the focus of everything. What did you guys think when you saw it?
I think there's culpability on both parts, but I also think in a controlled environment, NFL football game, Myles Garrett, it's like if we're going to square up, and the understanding is we're going to square up, we're going to throw these hands, and then Myles Garrett reaches behind his back and pulls out the nickel-plated 40 Glock pocket rocket to let, 20 off in my chest. Like, he took it to a level that it didn't need to go. Like he was. What's I don't know. What's Myles Garrett going to do, or Myles Rudolph going to do to you? I mean, or Mason? My bad. What's he really going to do to you, man? I did watch the tape closely, and I will agree with a lot of the Browns players. The Steelers QB was not all innocent. He was an aggressor of sorts, and he should be reprimanded at some level. I don't agree with an indefinite suspension for Myles Garrett. I'm cool with him being suspended for the rest of the season. But I do think the Pittsburgh QB deserved 1 game, maybe 2.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Yo, I got so many thoughts about this whole thing because it took another turn today. You know what I'm saying? My man threw his draw card down today.
Yeah,
but,
that's how that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna progress.
When I first saw it though, I was like, yo, Bull started it. Like, he had the jaunt, you know what I'm saying? Plus I know he a bully because he used to stuff people in their lockers and pee on them according to Twitter. But that's
you're talking about Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. Plus, I ain't like the boy anyway. He's expressed some thought. I don't bang with the boy like that anyway. But taking bias aside, boy, it's one of those situations. I think the Austin just says it's like one of those situations like, boy started it. You can't tell how to respond to the energy you put out. Did the boy take it too far? Absolutely, he took it too far. But you can't like push somebody and then like try to like temper their response. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, he lost a lot of bread doing that. He lost a lot of bread by doing that, and he hurt his team. So you got to deal with the consequences of your actions, beloved. You know what I'm saying? If you want to deal with the consequences, then so be it.
Yeah. Well,
they both was wrong. Everybody's wrong in this case. He was wrong for starting it. He was wrong for taking it too far. But they all wrong.
And that's what I think. Like with him, I I think Mason Rudolph may have escalated. I don't know if I ever really agreed with he started it, and I'm walking down a dangerous path now because us being black broadcasters, quote unquote media members or whatever, I'm really not allowed to say anything that doesn't 100% completely side with the black dude, because you know how everybody is these days. Next thing I'm gonna be getting called those names and all that kind of stuff. But
no, man, listen,
when have I
man,
given a damn?
When
have I given a damn? So my thing is when people, because first of all, that whole thing started to look like a cop out to me, and everybody, well, he started it. I'm like, okay, even if I give people that he started it.
Well,
okay.
That don't matter.
What does that change about how dude decided to retaliate to the situation?
Right,
so let's go back to the
right,
he started it thing. All right. He hit the dude late, wrapped him up, kind of wouldn't get off of him. Now, if starting it is like frantically trying to rumble with the dude so he can get the hell off of you, like I don't really look at that as starting it. I'm looking at that as like, get off me. Now, once they were separated, I mean, because a lot of the stuff that we saw as the quote unquote proof to he started it were still shots. I've learned this just this year, that still shots can tell some lies. Taking it back to the first game, was it the first game of the season, the second game of the season with the Eagles and Aguilar when he dropped the pass against the Falcons. And the very next day, some Eagles fans came out with this still shot with the Falcons player, his hands were on Aguilar. So they was basically saying, well, it was a pass interference that wasn't called. I go watch the video, and this must have been such a split-second thing, like you don't even see it in the video. And if you're watching that game in real motion like a ref is, if you're watching that game in slow motion, there's no way that you even come close to making that type of call. So I started, I started noticing that with other still shots. I'm like, yo, cameras are so fast these days. Like when you hit the burst, the whatever you call it, cameras are so fast these days with the shutter speed. It's like you can really catch stuff frozen that barely happened. So I'm looking at the video versus these still shots, and I'm like, yo, to me, it just looked like the dude is trying to fight this bear to get up off of him. Now, once they got up, it's like, what the hell are you going to do with this dude now? But you got some courage because you got your lineman in between you. This is when I think Mason Rudolph was at fault for escalating the situation and keeping the situation going. Because had he not kept rushing at the dude, he probably wouldn't have got whack-a-mole played on his head. So at that point, yeah. So I wouldn't say he started it, but I would say he escalated it. And then Myles Garrett, his reaction was just all wrong. You just can't do that. Like I've heard people say, "Look, man, if we rumbling and I got something in my hand, that's the chance you take." Blah blah blah. I'm like, but like one of y'all said, y'all used the word controlled environment. Like this is not a street fight.
Yeah, they were.
And nobody's life is really in danger out here. So,
but here's to that point. And I do think MAGA Rudolph started it, but
I know you already said that. I was giving my opinion.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't think that matters though. Like I really don't think that it matters.
Right. No, I mean because that's like a playground excuse. That's why I said even if I give people that, that's still like a playground excuse. He started it.
How old
you killed him.
You know
like he started it, but you had to murk him. Like,
and another thing about this is like I understand the whole controlled environment, but I also understand like of being in the moment and being an aggressive man, and someone is like in your space and grab. I understand that. Like you lose it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I was never appalled. Like, oh my God, how can that happen? Reflexes are reflexes. Reactions are reactions. But damn, homie, the optics on that was crazy.
And that's my whole point. Like my whole point is, like, they both grown men. They made a decision. They're going to have to live with it. But I understand. Like, so I'm not going to criticize him because I probably would have reacted the same way. And you got to talk about these dudes are NFL players who are in a game. Now, granted, the game was over, but still, like that's the crazy part about like being in the NFL. It's so aggressive. You can't
I've heard people go as far, like paid people on the radio. I heard people go as far as to say it was Mike Tomlin's fault for even calling a play in that situation. I'm like, damn, people just trying to find different angles so they can be different.
Yeah.
Yo, you be letting Mike Tomlin have it. I know who said that. That was Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw probably said that.
Dude,
I don't know. I forgot who it was. I listened to.
NFL players cannot cut it off. Period. Like these dudes, man. Like it's what they always get arrested for, like assault. You know what I'm saying? On other people, their women, their family. Like they don't know how to cut this thing off. All these dudes.
All I say, Mason Rudolph is
these dudes
lucky.
are over aggressive.
He is lucky that dude that he still had the helmet in the same grip that he had on it when he took it off of his head. Because if he would have taken like a split second, or if the helmet would have moved and turned the other way, and he would have hit him with the crown of that joint, oh my God.
Man, listen,
Pittsburgh still is being Mason Rudolph's funeral today.
He'd have still been in the protocol.
And not that this really matters, but I've watched NFL films. I've watched NFL films and seen Jack Lambert and them cats. Like this probably wouldn't even have been a flag back in the 70s. Like,
and it wasn't. And that's one thing. Like, because when you talk about the suspension, people kept talking about precedents. Like, well, you know, nobody's ever done this, and then everybody went to dig around to see people who's actually done. Like, we don't know who's actually done anything exactly like that, but I've seen so many photos this week of old NFL players holding a helmet in their hand, and for people to prove their point. That my only point is this: like on social media, where I spend most of my time with sports fans, it's like all I seem to see all week, and it might just be the our target audience or the audience that gravitates towards us. Like everything just seemed to be defending Myles Garrett. So I'm like, okay, like even like I said, even if I give you Mason Rudolph started it, and I definitely agree he should have had some kind of role, some kind of punishment. I think they are going to fine him, but he probably a game suspension or something like that just for his role in the whole thing. But I'm just like, okay, even if that happens, like everybody that's saying this, are you satisfied then? Or like basically what's the point of all the defense and all the research and all the digging to show that somebody may have done something like this before or this dude started it? At the end of the day, like what's the end game with that? Bull swung a helmet at somebody's head and connected.
What they trying to say without saying it is that if this was Luke Kuechly hitting Lamar Jackson, and we were in the same situation. Now, saying we ain't got.
That sounds cute, but nah, he hit that boy in his head with a helmet. Luke Kuechly in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they trying to say.
Yeah, that probably is what that's definitely what they're trying to say. But come on.
That's what they're trying to say, man. Listen, man. All right, put it like this. That sounds crazy what I just said, right? But if that happened, would you really be shocked, though?
You said what?
If that happened and there was like the situation played out different, would you be shocked?
You broke
up.
Now
we in fantasy land. Would you be shocked?
Would you be shocked?
Fantasy land.
Oh, shocked. If there was no punishment for Kuechly?
No punishment for Luke Kuechly.
Well, in America, I can't be shocked for anything. I'd be angry.
All right. So there we go. I just wanted to make sure. That's all I wanted to hear you say.
I'd be angry. Shocked.
And Cat could try to justify it, too. Cat could try to justify it. Lamar Jackson run, so. But anyway.
I just hate when we do what they do. You know what I'm saying? We call them out on the stuff they do, and then we do the same things. Like we really can't justify somebody getting smacked in the head with a helmet, yo.
Listen, we can justify anything, man. Listen, I understand what you're saying. You hate when we do what they do, but I guess for me, I because that's my form of reparations. Until I get a check, that's my form of reparations. But that's either here nor there.
No, because you know what I've been saying all week. I've been saying, like, if he dropped the helmet and lumped this dude up ungodly, like, all right, there's nothing. I would like, look, they're in a fight. His helmet came off. He beat your face up. Like, that's what happens. But the helmet,
I get it.
A step over
I get it. He used it as a weapon, but
I would love to see that. I would love to see him like drop the helmet and just pummel that dude.
I look at things
just for trying to act tough.
Because they're football players. Like, I hold football players in a whole different, like, I put them in a whole different box, right or wrong. Like, I'm not shocked by their brutality and their animal instincts. Like, these dudes all.
I've had a couple football player friends, and they're not really pleasant to be around because that is how they act all the time.
They dudes that's like too touchy feely. Always want, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, always want to wrestle. Even when it's not, when it's not that kind of aggression. Like, if they laughing, he got to grab you to laugh because they just used to like.
Yeah. Yo, exactly.
They just used to being rough.
Shake their hand. They're trying to say they want to break your arm off. Dude, I just said,
they are unpleasant to be around, man. They've been trained to be aggressive all their lives. Very unpleasant.
Yeah, like, yo, been uber aggressive. So it's like I hold them in a whole. I put them in a whole different box. So it's not shocking to me, man. It's just the whole situation, like. And I get it. We
grown men
want
to wrestle flat box and shit. Like,
we gotta get pieces about, like, everything. But I'm like, yo, what happened? It is what it is. Like, you know, I understand how it came back up to date, but at the same time, man, like, it's not shocking to me. I'm surprised it didn't happen more.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phone line because we got some more on this because some more stuff came out later in the week that we gotta address real quick, but. Homie Tobias been waiting on the line. He about to curse y'all out, even though he's going to say my name. What's up, Tobias?
I just got here, Tobias. I was in the street with Stephen A. Smith. I just got here, man.
Wasn't me, man. B. Austin on the boards.
Hey, all this bloviating y'all doing, man. What's going on, man?
Man, what's up with you?
Man? How come you didn't come on saying no roll damn time, man? What's up? Why your whole what's up, man?
Hey, all I know is that, hey, I got to say this real quick. I got to say this, man. First, we got a bunch of black folks defending Myles Garrett, despite the fact that he even said that, hey, I don't care if white folks call me the N-word. They still defending him. Like, bruh, the dude's a coon.
Speaking of that, we will get to that in a minute, too.
He mega Miles. He mega.
He played himself saying that.
And
all lives matter, Miles.
It sounds like 5-year-olds talking about, hey, he started it. Hey, if a guy swings on me at the bar with his fist, that don't mean I have to pull my knife out. You know, he swing on the back. If all he had to do was swing on with his fist, he would have been all right. And for what they were showing with Rudolph, that's just a fine. You get fined for that. You don't get 4-game suspensions for that. So my thing is, yes, you could say he was wrong, he started it, but that doesn't mean you got to go swinging your helmet out there. And plus, Garrett has a history of dirty play this year. And so that factors in as well. He's pretty much the
funny
big
you
word
say that
saying
because a lot of the people I saw said, no, you know, Garrett, he ain't got, you know, they said he a pretty good dude. He hadn't gotten in trouble for anything. I'm like, have y'all watched the dude? Like, dude get a lot of personal files. Like, he's like he's on his way to being like the new Ndamukong Suh. So, but like I said, you don't get, like Jimmy alluded to, though, you kind of don't get as good as he is without being, like, a trained aggressor. Yeah. Like, this is what he's been all his life.
And here's the crazy part about it. They got a game set Sunday, and they're still talking about this. How about you talk about your opponent? That's something that's killing me right now. Talk about your opponent. What happened. Be like Belichick. I don't know who they play this week. I think they play Cincinnati. Be on Cincinnati. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal when your best player, because he probably is their best player, is out for the.
No, he is. He's definitely the best player.
Yeah, like, I mean.
Yeah,
your best player is out for the season. I don't think it's going to go into next season. I think at the end of the season he's going to have a little meeting, or at the beginning of training camp or something. They're going to have a little meeting with Goodell, and they're going to reinstate him. I think everything will be cool unless what he did in his appeal comes back to bite him. What Jimmy and I were talking about earlier, he tried to. He said in his appeal yesterday that Mason Rudolph said some racial slurs to him, and that really set the whole situation off. Now, Tobias, you're in the chat group with us. We were wondering where this was last Friday, and I'm not talking to people listening. I'm not talking about we were wondering today where it was last Friday. Last Friday, we were in the chat group talking about, okay, when is Myles Garrett going to tell these people that, he called him the N-word or something? Because that's our go-to. And I'm not ashamed of that. Yep. Like, that's our go-to. If we're in trouble, you got to try it. But trying it almost a week later, when after the game, you were very apologetic. You were like, he said something. He sounded real articulate in his apology, saying that was on me, and I kind of lost my cool and all of that kind of stuff. And then I guess when you made your appeal, maybe they were sitting in there and nothing was working. He just decided to just throw it up against the wall. Jimmy said he threw his draw forward at the wrong time.
Yo, he didn't know he was going to he was going to lose all them game checks. That's what it was. Yeah, no. He saw all them game checks. He was like, yo, I got to pull the N-word out on this.
He said, I made a mistake. I lost my cool. It's going to come back to hurt our team. The guys who jumped in the scrum, I appreciate my teammates having my back, but it shouldn't have gotten that far. That's on me.
And you know what,
at some point, if he really called you something like that, which with us, you don't really have to call us that. That's just our defense mechanism sometimes. Sometimes we're just going to say that because a lot of people are like, oh, that happened. All right, forgive it. I understand. But a week later, he tried to play that card?
Here's the thing also, and Rudolph's also and Rudolph's kind of open about being Team MAGA. I don't care if you are. That's your political belief. You have a right to do that as a citizen to vote whoever you want to vote for, But people want to try to use that. But the thing is, though, when they show that play, people want to do the still photos. Actually, the tackle Myles Garrett made on Mason Rudolph hitting him after the play was kind of like a dirty play as well because it was a screen pass at the end of the game. And Myles Garrett was kind of roughing him up also. But they don't want to talk about that. It's like people want to twist the narrative. But he can't go off saying, hey, you called me the N-word. And when he said a year ago that, hey, if black people could say it, everybody should be able to say it. So why does it piss you off now when it pissed you off last year?
Well, last year, because I did some extra research into that, and he was kind of all over the place when he was talking about that. Because at some point, because basically he was upset at black people for being upset that people called him that. But then when asked, he said, no, I wouldn't want anybody to call me that, but he was basically just wanting things to be equal. If we can say it, then they should be able to say it. So it's like, how can you have that out there? And it was a big deal when it happened, and you think a week later, like, you can use that as a defense. Well, the NFL basically told him FOH. His suspension has been upheld. Pouncey's suspension went down to 2 games. And I still don't know what Mason Rudolph's fine is, but I heard that he is going to be fine. So,
can I bring this up about Tua real quick?
Who's that?
We talk about the Plan C.
Hey, we already know light-skinned Fred got his own thing to say, right? We already know he's a sports guy. He's a pundit. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. If this was the fourth quarter or late in the third, I'd be like, all right. It was the first half. Everybody except for the name of, hey, this ain't Kawhi Leonard or Ja Morant who want to do load management. It's the first half. But people said, Tua doesn't have a howler, so we all know that, right? He's a timing player, accuracy, and all that. He missed 2 weeks before that LSU game, and he was rusty as hell that first half. So you mean to tell me, we'll pull him early, don't play him the next week, and then we'll go to Auburn like everything's okay against that great defense. Sometimes it's just ball. If it's the first half, it's ball. And C.J. Mosley had the same injury Tua had in college, and he turned out to be a pretty good player himself right now in this league. So I hope the best for him. And I'm kind of glad he's not going to go to a dumpster fire at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He'll go to a stable organization finally, hopefully.
No,
you know?
I found it. I found it kind of funny that people were saying that kind of stuff, like, you know, Nick Saban, this is your fault, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, it was the first half. Like, yeah, it was the first half. Like, even if you know, and Fred said, you know, he basically said he had on good authority that they were going to sit him at the half anyway. So I'm like, what's wrong with that being the plan? Like, freak things happen in sports. That's why, you know, we want to do all these analytics. We want to talk about load management and all that kind of stuff. Most things that happen, it's just a freak occurrence. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
I just don't understand how people can say in the first half, like, why was he still in the game? Like, why wouldn't he be in the game in the first half of the game?
I think this is just karma for Bull Connor, and also a more recent history. The cops in Alabama. The cops in Alabama got caught planting drugs on 1,000 innocent black men. That's in 2019, by the way. This isn't like old news. This just dropped. And you know what I'm saying? So I think that's what's going on.
Hey, I don't know what
that's a new story that dropped today, by the way.
Hey, I know Steven. You know, sometimes it's ball though, man. Things happen because, you know, the guy who played for the Bucs a couple years ago, Kendall Beckwith, middle linebacker, career over because he's got in a car accident. What do you mean the guy can't get in the car and drive now? Sometimes people just get hurt, man, and you hate it for him. But at the same time, at least he won't end up on the Dolphins, the Bucs, things like that. He may go to a stable team. Who knows? The Patriots may move up and take him. You know,
One of these unstable teams might still take the gamble.
I hope he has a great career. I'm just glad Alabama can't win now. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, and people talking about poor Tua. Hey, Mac Jones only moved the ball and got 3 points in that second half, by the way. Just letting y'all know that right now. But
Jimmy, Tobias ignoring you, right?
I know. Listen. I'm already resigned. When he came on, he ain't say roll damn tide. That's always his call in. You know what I'm saying? Until
hey,
you know.
I'm actually resigned to the fact. This year. And by the way, when Alabama don't play in the playoff game, there will be a lot of these players going to sit out the bowl game, which I don't mind because it's a meaningless bowl game. And a lot of players are doing that now over the years, which I don't blame them because it's not a playoff game.
Hey, they load manage. Oh, so you're okay with load managing bowl games? You don't like load management
because the thing is, you're not playing for.
They don't have the money yet.
Football. They don't have the money, and that's what I'm saying.
They didn't get the check yet.
They
want to chill. I don't know. I never even thought about it. I don't care about bowl games that much.
Yeah, John Morant ain't old enough to drink yet. He already load managing. Come on, bro.
Hey, listen, man. Stop it, man.
He's on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies suck. He need all the reps he can get. What are they saving him for? The Summer League?
Yo, Ja nice, man. You're talking on Ja Rookie of the Year right now, man.
Hey, but one thing, I'll say these 2 quick things before I run. First,
we gotta get the Gus and the picks.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
anyway,
and we got Reginald's on too. But go ahead, though.
Hey, I'm glad I paid my rent first. Shout out, Gus. But you know, here's the thing. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Court make all the memes, and I cannot wait to see Moreland get mad when Luka wins the MVP this year. But also, when you watch Kaepernick, I say this real quick. I don't think Kaepernick wants to play, but the NFL was kind of dirty themselves. If the NFL is doing you this dirty, why in the hell are you trying to beg to join this league? Why do you keep trying to beg to join this league if they this bad? That's my thing, because after a while, bruh.
It's good marketing, man. What you hating?
Yeah, because all these woke folks talking about, this. I'm like, look, man, I was with him, man. But one, he ain't speaking for himself. Everybody's controlling his narrative. His woman speaks for him. I don't like that as a grown man. No disrespect to the ladies. But
I'm about to say, you about to get all the ladies mad out there.
But what I'm saying is
those are the thoughts and feelings of Tobias. They do not represent the thoughts. AKA.
All right, man.
But you gotta take it easy, man.
All right, we'll holler at you next week, man.
All right, yo.
All right, everybody on the phone line, man, hold tight. We got one more segment. We're just gonna get some quick NFL picks from the homie Gus Griffin, and we're gonna get to these phone lines. So just hold tight. All right, so we got Gus Griffin on the line. What's up, Gus?
How you doing?
All right. So last week you were this was your worst week yet. You were 1-4 last week. 28-26 overall, though. We're still hovering above 500 here. So come on, we gotta knock this one out the park this week, man. We gotta knock it out the park.
I just encourage your listeners that this is a marathon and not a 100-yard dash. So, because I lost the 100-yard.
Everybody, listeners, you know, if you're out there, you're investing with Gus. He's just been load managed last week, so now he's back in the game, and you know, hopefully he's not rusty. So 28-26 overall. We're gonna start with the Raiders and Jets. This is an over/under pick. Their over/under is 46.6 points. Where are you going?
All right. The Jets have gone over in their last 4 straight games. Pass-happy Raiders with very little defense. Take the over.
All right. The next one, we have the Falcons versus the Bucks. The spread on this one is 4.5 points.
Okay.
Falcons are the favorites.
The Falcons are the favorites. The 2016 Falcons have been found. They've jumped off the milk carton. And what's amazing is the last 2 weeks is they've done it with defense. They've only given up 12 points in the last 2 games, and that includes against the Saints in the Dome. Jameis Winston is sure to give them at least 2 turnovers, if not more. Take the Falcons minus the 4.5. They're not. It's too little, too late in terms of them making the playoffs. They may have saved Dan Quinn's job, but they have both the Saints again and the 49ers on their schedule remaining. They're going to have an impact on the playoffs, even though they won't be there.
All right. This next one is another over/under. This is the Giants-Bears. Their over/under is 40. Where are you going?
The Bears are the most reliable under team in the league. With their defense and basically a non-threatening quarterback play at this point. The Giants, when they've played any defensive note, they're always in the teens, no more than that. So I'm taking the under.
All right, under 40 on that one. We have the Panthers at New Orleans. Panthers are 10-point dogs in this one.
Okay, now this one and the last one. We got the Dolphins are 10.5-point underdogs to Cleveland. I'm going to combine these, try to save you some time. I'm always looking at double-digit underdogs. Last year, they're 19-14-1 with 6 outright upsets. That's double-digit underdogs. This year, even though we have 3 god-awful teams, usually have 1 or 2, we have 3 of them, the Dolphins, the Washington, and Cincinnati. In spite of them, they still have a winning record, the double-digit underdogs, 13-11-1 right now with 3 outright upsets. I'm going to continue that. I'm taking the Panthers. It's a division game also. I don't believe in laying double digits in a division game. So I'm taking the Panthers plus the 10 and jump to the Dolphins plus the 10.5. Last note, the Cleveland Browns are not accustomed to this kind of attention from the Monday night game, and you know they beat my Steelers good, and we that's a whole other discussion. Of course, you can see my column on that, but they're not accustomed to this kind of attention. I don't know that they're mature enough to handle it. They're not ready to be a 10.5-point favorites over anyone. I don't believe, and if they do cover it, then that shows a degree of maturity, but I don't think they're ready for it. I'm taking the Dolphins plus the 10.5 and the Panthers plus the 10.
All right, there you have it. This is not a load management week. Go out there, get your investments together. Gus has an article that just came out this morning on WarRoomSports.com, and it's basically about what we've been talking about for the past 30 minutes or so, the whole Myles Garrett situation, just, a different perspective. So make sure you go to WarRoomSports.com. You can click on that blog tab, or you can just go right to the middle of the home page. You'll see the titles of all the articles there. Make sure you check it out. All right, Gus, we'll see you next week, man.
All right, gentlemen, enjoy.
Hopefully with an undefeated week record.
Oh, yeah. You'd always make a late season charge.
All right. We talk to you next week, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. We definitely got to talk this Colin Kaepernick stuff, but like Jimmy said, we got some more callers on the line. You said we got Reginald waiting. Let's go to Reginald.
Yeah.
In the district. Reginald, what's going on, man? Welcome to the War Room.
Yo, appreciate you getting me in. Like the show, love the energy you guys bring. So where do y'all want to start? I heard a lot of
we
good
appreciate
stuff.
it.
Hey,
run down the top. You got an opinion on the whole Myles Garrett situation?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, what hasn't been
run it down.
So this racial slur, the latest and greatest. I'm disappointed for this one reason. Everything leading up prior to that statement or that accusation, which obviously they've already proven that has not been no evidence has shown. We pretty much put it in a position or gave him a sense of posture of reactionary. But I'm sort of the theorist that's saying if you claim that they said it was racial, that he made a racial slur prior to that play, now I'm wondering, was there some premeditated in this action?
I was just about to say that. That makes the whole thing premeditated.
That take this whole argument out and really cuts the wind out of his sail from everything he does. Now, I am a supporter of Myles in this respect, in that this situation escalated because of Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, because he wouldn't
not
back
just
down.
because of the head pulling and not the kick, but see, at some point, you're without a helmet charging a player who's bigger than you with a helmet, with your helmet for that matter. And
you got two helmets.
Right. He anticipated, or he assumed that nothing was going to happen to him. Like, nothing's going to hurt me. I've got my teammates around me. I'm going to bark like a little dog. And you run up on a big dog. I can't negate that aggression to say that, hey, if you never charged him, guess what? They would have given him a flag, unsportsmanlike, for ripping his helmet off. They would have dealt with it in that level. And that would have been the end of it.
Handed you your helmet back and everything would have been everything. That
would have been the end of it.
My whole thing from the start was like, okay,
so
if he wants to keep charging, I'm like, if Myles Garrett wants to drop the helmet and give this dude some hands, like, I couldn't blame him. I mean, he would get suspended for that as well, but the optics wouldn't be as bad. Like, he kept charging me, so I beat the dude up.
But don't you think it was doing sort of an eye for an eye? You tried to take my helmet off, so I took it off. You're charging me while your man is engaging me because he had to reach over his pistol to the player. And yes, he was wrong to swing the helmet. So you get your fine. You get your suspension.
Yeah.
But we know that this league, that suspension, I believe, is driven mostly on we don't ever want to see anything like this happen again by anyone in the league. Let this be a lesson. That's why he didn't get that appeal overturned. There was no reason to. 6 games, your team is not going to make the playoffs anyway. So
right, and that's why, like, a lot of people that I've spoken to, they kept trying to bring up things from the past, something that happened in '85, and somebody brought up something that happened in the '70s, and these guys got fined and they didn't get suspended. But like you just said, like, today's day and age, like, they're trying to send a message so it never happens again. We can't really compare what's happening now to what happened back then. But another thing, that's a football player thing. Like, they always, it seems like when you see people get into a fight, besides the crazy ones who try to actually swing punches while a player has a helmet on.
Sure.
I never understood why they did that. But when they grab at each other, it seems like they always grab at the face mask to try to push your helmet off or pull your helmet off. I think that's just reactionary as well. Yeah.
But I think this NFL right now really appeases the fan base. That's the reactionary level of the fan base was, oh, he needs to be out of this league. I think they take a little bit of that into consideration because there's a rule already in place for removal of a helmet. There's a fine for it. I mean, I'm not a fan of Mason getting only a $35,000 fine, because I think you asked how much was his fine. I think it should have been 1 game, because I thought 35 was just not enough because of the parts that he played in it. And then to reduce Ponce's down from 3 to 2, I'm not in favor of that, because I believe that he went above and beyond, being that Myles Garrett already had the other dude on top of him, and he was punching and he got a kick.
And kicking him. Yeah. He got a few kicks in there as well. So I thought
he was justified. I thought the 6 was right, or I should say indefinite, but I thought it should have been appealed to just simply 6, so they don't have to come back and what I call bow to Caesar, the NFL. But truly, I think Mason should have gotten 1 game.
I think because I can't see it going past, the 6 that ends this season.
I agree.
Unless somebody tries to be petty because of, him bringing up the whole racial thing in his appeal.
But he's got to come back to the league office and ask for it. See, that's the part. But
that's all. That's all. They're gonna test his level of remorse, once that happens, and he should be fine.
But you still got to come in.
Real quick, what's your thoughts on the whole Kaepernick situation from this past weekend?
I'm going to tell you right now, Kaepernick is a NFL starting quarterback. It's because of this whole scenario. The devil's in the details. Those who've got the football IQ understand what Kaepernick was dealing with. The short-term notice, the lack of knowledge of receivers, the audible, as I call it, which good quarterbacks do. He has a platform. He's already said he has integrity. That's not something compromisable. Those who question that he doesn't really want to play, I ask you, then why is he staying in football quarterback shape for 3 years? Because he can't use that skill anywhere else. He's not entertained any offers to go to this new XFL or, the Canadian League. It's always been about the NFL. And I believe that he accomplished actually what he did by cutting out the middleman. I come from a business mindset, and that's this. The NFL has never put together a player pro day, if you want to call it that. So being that they had no skin in the game, other than the ulterior motive of trying to get the signature of him for a no
trying to get the waiver signed,
lawsuit waiver, which is uncharacteristic. They're like, in the business world, we look at it as a hiring agency. They have no skin in the game because they will not be the one doing the hiring. They're not the ones who will have to pay him. But a hiring agency will go to you, the employee, and identify your strengths and weaknesses and sell it to your employer or potential employer. In this case, they were not trying to do that. They were representing the employer and giving him demands. Well, anytime you call as an employee, you call an employee, you tend to be a little flexible because obviously you want him, because that was their goal. They said, we want to get you a shot. Jay-Z supporting that supposedly in the background, doing some work. He's mad. I don't understand why the NFL is mad at all, other than that they couldn't get away with what I call their hoodwink attempt, fast, track of trying to get a signature and some demand. But why are they mad? They lose nothing in this. Kaepernick has been without a job in this game. He's shown the skills. 25 team low-level scouts showed up, not decision makers. And 7
decision makers were busy.
Right. So right.
They're too busy on Saturday.
But let's think about it from Kaepernick's standpoint. Because somebody said, "What did he accomplish?" I think he ruined it. No, he didn't. Up until this point, or prior to this week, all you had was a mouthpiece of him saying, "I'm ready," and YouTube videos saying, I've been training. So the only thing you're left with is, I want to see it in real life. He ran an audible. He said, you know what? I'm going to kill 2 birds in 1 stone. I'm going to get out of this bounce trap and still be able to accomplish that. 8 teams came to the new location. The 7 who didn't show, they were going to see video anyway. So the video that the NFL wanted to put together, as they wanted to control the narrative, was something that I don't think anybody will walk in and say, I'll take, largely in part because, let's see, I just sued you and won for $10 million 7 months ago. And now today, I'm going to allow you to dictate and tell my story and then share it to the potential suitors who have known where I was if they were truly interested in finding to see and get me a live pro day. Most teams run pro days, they want it to be private because they don't want other teams to learn the intel in which they understand when they're looking at a considered player. Why would I give you that information? You're my competitor. I want to learn what I can from you as a player that the other teams may not know about. So when it comes draft day, I know what I'm getting. This group idea.
So, but do you think this was a lose-lose for Kaepernick then? Like, because even those 25 teams showed up, like you said, they were low-level scouts. Like, are these teams just saving face? Like, we'll send somebody so they can, he can't say we didn't give him a chance. Like,
so we'll never get the answer. But I'm gonna go with what I call leading statements that lend myself to the jury of that this was a farce. The league called Kaepernick. Then they called the teams to show up. They picked a day before game day after the trade deadline. Teams are already set with what they are going to be looking at for the rest of the season. So basically, what was this quote-unquote pro day really going to accomplish for any team if you're a head coach? To validate what? I believe that there was a off-the-record conversation that said, look, guys, we got an agenda. We don't want to be sued for this whole collusion idea. I need y'all guys to send somebody. And for the greater the shield, we got an owners union led by Mr. Jerry Jones, and he's got a lot of influence. And he said, let's get some boys on over there. Send your low-level sky, costs nothing. Then because he moves then they drop to him the letter or the condition of contract the night of, and all of a sudden you see all these terms of expectation. You don't know who he's throwing to, which is key. You don't know what program he's had to throw and run and show. I'm like this. He accomplished that because everyone got to see it under his structure. You can go to get the video. It was live. Everyone had it. You may not have saw it firsthand, but eight teams found a way to get there. And those who didn't stay, you can't pay the change ticket fees for your organization on a flight? You were a low-level scout. You wasn't essential. So why weren't they there? They were told to pack up.
They were like
caught in their feelings because they wasn't able to accomplish the thing that they really set up, which was to get that
second-string scouts was probably off at college games that day. So,
right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was a lot of
all about
stuff
a signature.
going on. We're going to get into it.
A whole sham set up for one thing, to get him to sign on that dotted line. And they thought, when they keep saying, if Kaepernick really wanted to take a shot, this was his one shot. Why are we assuming that this really was an interview? I mean, we're putting all the onus on trying to resolve this one issue, which we know was all about a politicizing of him kneeling. You didn't really think he couldn't play. What you wanted to do was find out, would he be a good boy and talk the talk and say the right things?
Would he be a good boy? Would he capitulate? And the mere fact that he put that T-shirt on showed the NFL what they really wanted to see. It wasn't about his arm talent, his throwing, are you ready to fall in line?
And I'm sad to hear that they would use the T-shirt as a distraction, because at the end of the day, this is about football, right? You said you wanted to find out, can he play?
But you know that they would. We all know that they would. So, I mean, I think
because of their failure.
Like
because
for us
failure
here,
not the signature.
Like we've said for months, not even, I think it's been kind of like a new thing. After this weekend, people were saying that. But I know personally I've questioned how much Kaepernick really wants to be back in the league. And me questioning it had nothing to do with because he won't fall in line and all the kind of stuff that Stephen A. Smith and everybody is basically getting at him about. I always wondered, like, why he wanted to get back into the league. And I know, Jimmy, you said before, like, he probably, like, historically, he probably would be better off if he never took another snap in the NFL again. So I'm thinking at this point, he probably knows that. His team probably knows that. So at this point, he might just be playing the game with these guys. Because if you go into something knowing that it's a farce, then you stand up for yourself and you change some things around. I mean, I just think in his mind he knows he's never going to play in the NFL again, but you have to play your part, you know, if you're ever going to bring suit to them again. And because that waiver actually said something about that, he definitely had to put his foot down on that. I mean, that's just speculation. Like, you know, I don't know. Maybe he really, really, really wants – I mean, this is something he dedicated his life to. So there's that. But I
apologize for dominating the statement, but I agree with you 100%. Football is entertainment. Right. He has a platform to be able to get all the news circuits that be talking about it. He had to show up. People are like, why did you even show up if you didn't want to play? Right. No, he had to show up. He knew the scenario. It was very clear, the situation and how doubtful this could be the real thing. It was that last straw which cemented his thoughts or anticipated thoughts. I think he just had those guys on standby. I don't think that was the initial intent to say, look, we're just going to run this practice over at the other field. I think that was just on standby because I think they underestimated and he outsmarted them. And
like
they
just
don't like
in case they try to, you know, throw something sneaky in there.
Right.
Let's have this place ready.
They asked on Wednesday, hey, who are going to be my receivers? And there was no response. What program are you asking me to throw? Was the sort of like there's a listing of throws that they will ask in the program for him to have to perform.
Wouldn't even give him a list of teams that had committed. Like that kind of just started leaking through the media, but they wouldn't give him a list of teams.
Because they couldn't give the names because they had not. It's one thing if you call the team and say, hey, guys, who's interested in going? I'll set this up. No, the NFL set it up and then told teams. So that told you, hey, guys, hustle up, go get somebody. We got to make it look like there was no collusion here and that we have interest so that when we do have him come through and perform, and don't worry, we're going to control the media because we're going to only be the ones taping. And so we're going to leak. His arm didn't look that good.
I got a bigger question for you.
Yes, sir.
What participation and influence did Sean Corey Carter have in all of this?
I don't know. I don't think he did. I know there's leaks of saying that he helped push this out there because he was mad. So I believe he had a voice, or I don't want to say used him. I've always felt, and I'm judging.
I think they've been using him since the minute they signed that deal, but that's just me.
Exactly. I'm judgmental on that. So I come in biased with the thought. But the fact to hear him say he was disappointed in Kaepernick, I'm scratching my head saying, why are you disappointed? Again, you don't have any skin in this game other than you wanted to look like Jehovah, i.e. the Savior. Mm-hmm. So other than that, you find that your position is nothing but of a high-paid pawn for the NFL. So you're really there for a check because you're not an influencer. Those guys didn't bring you in to say, we're going to listen to you. You're an advisor, and they're going to say, okay, we'll take your idea, but on our terms. Because there's no possible way you're telling me, Jay-Z, that you said, look, I'm not going to call Kaepernick and tell him about this situation and say, look, I'm going to get you a deal. What are you looking for? Play a mediator, collaborate something that shows that, look, Kaepernick, we gave you a few things. You got to give us a few things. It was all dictated to him. And on their time, out of the gate, hey, we want you there Saturday. We need 2 hours for you to get back to it. He said, well, can we do it the following Saturday? Kaepernick's in New York. Why is it in Atlanta?
Yeah.
And there's so many optics that you can look at. They were like, no, this is your once in a shot.
And the NFL offices are in New York.
Right. Why? But why the urgency? I'm like, let's take a central location where all the teams could possibly reach a 2-hour direct flight, whether it be Dallas, whether it be somewhere in the Midwest, but down in the southern right hemisphere, and you gave him 4 days. You call him on a Tuesday, say got to be there Saturday, and you don't get why the urgency? We're past it again. We're the 2 days past the trade deadline. Teams have decided what they're going to do for the rest of their season. They've decided what moves or they won't make and are resting on this is our plan for the rest of the year. So there's really no action on getting him anywhere. I think plan B was they were going to put him on they were going to take a team like Miami. I think that was a team that they were leaking that might be interested. What? Right. Is he going to be on the bench? Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to get a real shake? How many weeks would it take for him to get to know the playbook and be able to get on the field? Come on. They wanted that.
Miami wouldn't have worked either because the fans would have run him out of town because of the Castro shirt from a few years ago. So that wasn't going to work.
They wanted that signature because right now, as it stands right now, he's accomplished having 8 teams see him live and can't no longer say he can't. And I think actually one low-level scout mentioned, he still got it. His arm is as good as it was. So
good as it ever was. Man, excellent, brother. Excellent point, man. Excellent point. Great perspective.
No doubt. And Reg, we gotta go, but we appreciate the call.
Reg, this is one of our better calls, man. Reg, make sure you call in and keep up with us every week, man.
I was about to say, Reg, your call basically turned into a segment. You were like a guest. So every Thursday we're here 6 to 8 p.m. Man, call in and rap with us.
So we appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, Rookie Reg, man. As always, much love.
All right.
Hey, all right.
All right. Let me get y'all because we got the homie Naj waiting too. I know he got some good stuff as well. I mean, what did you guys think of the whole thing?
He made so many great points, man. I'm trying to think. I was sitting there it's like, all right, that's a good point. That's a good point. Man, it's so many. The story is so layered. Like, I don't know whether he wants to play, but I agree that he had to show up. Like, the fact of the matter is, we're talking about a guy that hasn't taken a snap in the NFL in years, but he leads just the sports shows, but other shows during the course of the media cycle. So, if his objective was to continue his fight or whatever you want to call it, and he had to do. At the end of the day, man, to me, this is a whole different discussion. This goes to talent and resources and ownership, and it goes into a whole deeper discussion of we don't control our platforms. We're nothing but the talent into the $1 million slave talk. And I know we don't have enough time to get that deep into it, but the fact of the matter is, like, telling him that, hey, listen, it's truthful. Here's the thing. Everybody take a side. Either you on the Stephen A side or you're on the Eric Reid side. When the fact of the matter is, both of them make valid points, and sometimes both people can be true, even though it seems like they're the opposite thing, because it's all a matter. It's all a matter of perspective, man. It's a matter of perspective. But
that's
I would
funny
never
though,
tell
Jim,
someone,
that you say that, because the whole Stephen A thing, like, I don't think he necessarily took us. I think it's kind of unfair especially what black people are doing to Stephen A. We've had our jokes in
the streets, though, man.
in the past.
You know what I'm saying? He be in these streets.
Yeah, definitely in the streets, and he gonna see T.O. about what he said earlier. But you saw the very moment in his face when his heart was broken. T.O. said Max is blacker than you.
Trying to put some hot grease on him, be all said. Did you see what T.O. said to Stephen A. Smith, huh?
Yeah, he fried him. I heard about it. I didn't see it live. I heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, he backed T.O. up after that. It looked like T.O. might have a little regret that he said that, because he might have realized, that's
too far.
Like what they accused him for with Donovan already. That was black on black crime. But everybody's quick to do that these days, and I've already noted that on several episodes about different things. Like, Stephen A., first of all, has been, supportive of Kaepernick through most of this stuff. I think where he gets frustrated because I listen to these clips. See, where he gets frustrated, it's stuff that we've even said before. Like, Kaepernick doesn't really speak much for himself, so we don't really know. Like, we're supporting him, but we don't know. Like, if you're leading, we're not really sure what you're expecting from us, because a lot of this has morphed into like Kaepernick versus the NFL. Like, people are mad because Kaepernick doesn't have a job. Like, I can't remember the last time we actually heard anything about the fact that, the reason why Kaepernick kneeled in the first place. Like, that's been on the back burner for a long time. People are basically mad because Kaepernick doesn't have a job. And he doesn't speak that much. So we really don't know where his head is, what he really wants to do, what he wants us to do as his supporters. So the whole Stephen A. thing, it's like, these days you can't have you can't support somebody and have any logical self-thinking moments where you're questioning something. You just have to blindly support.
Yeah,
if you don't,
it's like
you're all kinds of coons, you're all kinds of sellouts.
So it's like it's a lot of history in that too. It's sort of like don't argue in front of the company, right? But that's his platform, but it's not really his platform, which is why I said this is a whole different, deeper discussion. Because at the end of the day, you are literally using like oppressor. Like, Eric Reed uses the term often, oppressing him, and they're the oppressor. Like, he uses these terms, but you want to work for the oppressor.
I always got bars for Eric Reed. Eric Reed is the most confusing
oppressor
figure in this whole thing. He's angrier than everybody. But you collect the check.
Here's the thing, though. I think his heart is in the right place, but I don't even know. Like, and it's just like people want to take saying absolutes for one, and they don't want to deal with context and nuance, because nothing is in black and white. Whole scenario on any angle, any way you look at it. I mean, the NFL, at the end of the day, right, is an organization. It's a private entity. It's a large organization. It's billions and billions of money. And at the end of the day, when we talk about business, a business it exists a thing, which is to make profits. So if they're able to make profits without dealing with this, that's what they're going to do. Fact of the matter is, when I say we, I'm talking about the culture doesn't own its own platforms, although we are the talent in pretty much almost anything that has to do with sports, entertainment, but we don't have this ownership, so we end up begging our quote-unquote oppressors for jobs. On one hand, they're oppressing me, they're my oppressors. Then on the other hand, I want to work. Come on, man, like, and I get it. But this is not a meritocracy. It's like, you have the talent to play. Like, dude, there's a lot of people that have a talent to play. And I'm not trying to come off on a Stephen A. because I'm also like I'm a supporter of Kaepernick, fan of Kaepernick. But at the end of the day, man.
But we've had questions. We've had opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I question the whole ESPN thing too. Like, Stephen A. comes off too much. First of all, Whitlock is going way too far. It's not like he want to exchange hands with somebody. Like, that was my next point. My very next point, Jim, was like,
I think it's unfair how people are treating Stephen. Well, you got like Whitlock. I don't care what you say about him, because Whitlock from minute one of this story has seemed like it was personal for him. He calls Kaepernick names. He, all kinds of stuff. It just seems like he was against him. He wants him to fail. Mute Muhammad Ali.
He calls the boy Mute Muhammad Ali. No, but
yeah, like, for him it seems
funny.
personal.
I ain't gonna lie. That's kind of funny. But hold on though. but that also
Stephen A. is not in that category, but people are placing him in the same category.
But that also goes to show you the kind of platform.
And that's not
cool. That shows the platform that Stephen A. has, because as I brought this up to most people, they have no idea about the vitriol that shit like is saying. Like, the Stephen A.'s platform.
That's because people already refuse to listen to his ass.
And a lot of y'all, man, I'm gonna tell y'all another thing that bothers me too, man. We quick to want to give, and I'll use the term, give people invitations to out. This whole love fest with Max, y'all gotta chill, dude. Y'all gotta chill.
Max is a black hero now.
Yeah, now he's
Max is a black hero.
And Max, and the funny thing is, Max is a good dude. from near as I can tell. But black folks gotta relax, man. All a white guy has to do is play a saxophone or dance real good and say something minorly supportive.
If they show semblance, if they show any semblance of empathy
crazy.
or love to our community, we jump behind them ungodly. Like we,
but that's the thing with Max. Like I never thought Max was a bad guy. Like I spoke with somebody about this today. I've always viewed Max as an ally, but Max is also like he's speaking from a place of privilege. So the stuff that he says, it sounds great, but everything is not realistic to us. You don't have you know, he hasn't lived the plight that we live. So it sounds all easy for him to say certain things, and black people love how it sounds, and we cheer, and you know, now Max is the guy, and he's blacker than Stephen A. But Stephen A. was basically, a lot of these arguments, he's just trying to give Max a perspective of reality, of how difficult it is, how we always have to be better than them to get stuff equal to them. And
here's my thing,
but,
man.
you know, people,
and I don't
know. I just think Max has doubled down on the black love recently just because he sees how people are.
He loves getting the love.
I think he's doing it at the expense of his co-host.
And
that's kind of not cool.
He always wanted to be a member of Wu-Tang, but that's either here nor there. Like,
he got a rap album, right?
Yeah, I know. This comes from someone. This comes from someone who was a fan of his. To the point where, like, I don't even listen to sports radio because I think most of it is garbage. I don't even listen to it at all. But when him and Marcellus had a show together, I would literally download the podcast because I thought that was those two together actually worked very well on radio. So I respected his work, and I respect. But this whole, like you said, he's throwing his partner under the bus for one, and he's acknowledged like, "Yo, I'm on your platform." He said that several times. I'm on your platform. So he recognizes that's really the Stephen A. show, whatever you want to say. And I also understand his perspective of like
handed down by Skip Baseless.
Yeah, he's like, what am I supposed to say? And also, there's a rumor that Skip is going back. By the way, they said Skip's contract is up. He's going whoever paid the highest ransom. He don't care who it is. It could be us for all he cares. He's going whoever got that bread. Skip is out. Skip might be on with us on Thursdays, dog. But
skipping to the bank.
Not what's his face? What's your man with Shannon? What's his name? That is Skip. My fault. I don't even watch these knuckleheads. I watch highlights. But
that's what I'm saying. I watch clips that people send to me.
Yeah, people send me clips and I watch the clip. It's in our group chat. But I don't. Other than that, I don't. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, and Max gotta chill, and we gotta chill with the Max love. Like, you know, you can understand that, but the way people are overboard with he coming to the cookout, he's blacker than Stephen A. Smith, he's this, like, y'all go way too far, cuz. Y'all go way too far.
Yeah. T.O. owe that man.
Y'all gotta chill.
T.O. owe that man an apology, man. For real. He used to defend T.O. ass when everybody was calling him them kind of names. All right, but anyway, let's get to the phone lines because we don't have that much time left. We got a lot of stuff we wanted to get to, but it don't look like we're going to get to it. So let's get some more opinions on this. We got the homie Naj calling in from down GA. What up, Naj?
War damn Eagle. Yeah, I got bars for a few people being on hold, maybe a little more mean. So y'all should expect me to be a little more mean than usual. Look, man, when you out here with all this, this SJW, key, this woke, key, 30 years from now, you're going to look and realize you were taking the positions of what was entrenched racial hierarchy and oppression. So, I mean, I know that sounds a little Eric Reed-ish, but when I hear black folks using that language, my eyebrow raises a bit, and I like to listen a little more intently because I start to realize you're usually hearing somebody who would enjoy a boot with a fork and a knife. So I just got a certain feeling about people who say things like that and about their perspective. And look, man, when we talk about this Kaepernick thing, there's so much innuendo. There's so much stuff about, well, he doesn't talk much. How come he doesn't say anything? And then we start, like, coloring in the lines about his intentions. Well, I don't think he wants to play. Well, maybe he does want to play. None of that matters. the issue is we're talking about a labor situation to where somebody was illegally, blackballed. And after that, you kind of deal with the story as is. So the idea that him throwing against air was going to convince somebody to say, oh, man, look at him throwing against air out there. You want college prospects to throw against air because you want to see if they can hit certain routes, if they have the arm strength for it, what their touch is like, what the velocity is on the ball. But somebody who's an actual pro, you bring them into camp because you want to see what they look like against NFL game speed, what they look like against today's athlete. So if they were serious about Kaepernick, a team calls, he goes in, it doesn't work out like everybody else, and they decide yay or nay whether they want to have him. Like, the fall for this farce was what it was, and, salute the Cap for treating it that way with the T-shirt, because, that's all this was, man. They were trying to get that dude to sign the waiver. And look, y'all are a lot more generous to Stephen A. than I am. We're talking about a man who basically, we watched the situation to where we saw an entertainer and a journalist. The great Howard Bryant came on the show like, look, man, I went to Atlanta, talked to sources.
Yeah, he was out there.
Piece the stubble.
He was out there tweeting with a dead phone.
All right, and my man is out here just yelling out, just loud opinions as usual. It's entertaining, but it's not informative. I don't think, all that shit. Like, look, man, the Screaming A character, like, you got to chill out.
But that's the thing. I never thought Stephen A. was informative. Like, that's his shtick. I never thought he was informative. I just think y'all going a little hard on him with the blackness comments and all that kind of stuff. But no, you've heard us. You've heard us dog Stephen A. for basically being a fraud.
Right. With the internet, there are a million different opinions. Some of them okay, some of them terrible. But once you start coloring the lines of the internet and saying, well, some people are saying this, some people are saying that, you really get no perspective on the story because you're dealing with not only sensible opinions, you're dealing with crazy people. So it really gives no weight to it. But, again, man, Stephen A., let's just be honest, man. To have access to certain things with these leagues, you are going to have to toe a certain line. So to say that this man wasn't carrying water for the NFL, like, come on, man.
You know where I think he went wrong this week? Because when he did have, a differing opinion, it seemed like people questioning him made him even more upset. So at this point, you look like you're attacking the dude. Because why are you so pressed to show us the waiver and all that kind of stuff? It was an ego thing, because at some point, Stephen A. is the biggest name dropper, in the industry. So when you start questioning him and telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's taking that personal. And I can see where, people would get upset because him taking it personal starts to make it look like he's going at Cap personally. Now, I totally understood that. But this Stephen versus Max thing, I'm like...
Yeah, I ain't even gonna touch that Max silliness. But that's the thing, though. If you're gonna be that angry when somebody questions you, your stuff needs to be together. Like, all of your stuff needs to be lined up. Like, you need to have done the legwork of reporting.
And you know what?
His stuff ain't been together since back in the day in the NBA. He don't even know about the NFL.
If you're gonna bloviate, you got to have your stuff to back it up when somebody calls you in the question and say, wait a minute, that's not what that waiver says. Matter of fact, why do you have that waiver? Because you wanted to tell the NFL side of the story. That's why they gave you access to it, dummy. And look, that Myles Garrett stuff y'all were talking about earlier, as we all know, he went too far. That was crazy to see the man hit him with a helmet. I will say, if that happened on Sunday during the 1 o'clock slate, we wouldn't even be talking about it. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, it was the only game in town. It was the only show.
So they got to do it.
You made an interesting.
Go ahead.
You made an interesting point when you said that he has to do certain things to maintain a certain level of access, right? Because in listening to what he's saying about Cap, he's basically saying, like, be like me, play the game, bow down, and do what they want you to do, so you can get that whole seat at the table nonsense that people love to talk about. And that's what's interesting because.
Jimmy, he's playing chess.
Y'all in Philly, my homie, y'all probably know him. Shout out to the great, the guy, M. Tillery. Y'all probably know him. For some years.
Yeah.
He asked David Stern a certain question during Q&A, and all of a sudden he didn't get credentialed anymore. So when you talk about access with these leagues and going outside of what they want to talk about, yeah, that can lead to that. And as far as the Myles Garrett thing, everybody's missing the interesting stuff there. This is a barbaric game. It's the NFL. This is not gentleman's fencing. Like, first of all, during that game, a dude left the game because he was bleeding out his ear. Like, this is football. It's barbaric. But the thing everybody's missing is the culture of football. As a D lineman, I cannot have everybody see a quarterback rolled on top of me and said something to me, and it looks as if he's physically got the best of me for a hot second. I have to retaliate. I got to go crazy. I have to retaliate. Then we move to Pouncey. Pouncey had to kick, bite, damn near Hulk Hogan leg drop. He had to do everything because, look, you can't hit my quarterback with a helmet. I got to show out. It needs to be known that I showed out when this dude violated my quarterback. Like, those are the interesting things here that everybody's missing.
Pouncey's going to be held in high regard all around the league. He'll never have an issue getting a job as a free agent.
You can't sit in that old lineman room and lead men if you stood there while somebody hit your quarterback in the head, bro. Like, that was a 10-year that was a 10-year thing he did right there. He's going to keep getting checks just for doing that, man. But overall, though, dude, like y'all said, man, I don't listen to most sports radio now either. It's gotten really bad. Well, this side says this, that side says that. Like, it's really bad at this point. But it is what it is because we're talking about, like, high-level social stuff, and we're trying to stuff it into these small interactions based on what athletes do or say or what the league does or say. And, you know, the conversations get convoluted because of it. You know what I mean? These conversations are usually too big for these small little things that we're talking about. So think about labor and the MLB probably about to be locked out next year. Think about labor in the form of so many unions being gone now. And you kind of realize the moment that we're in. We got a whole gang of regular working class folks out here yelling boss talk. I think boss is right. I think he shouldn't have it. And you're looking at him like, don't you understand in the grand scheme of things, you are the one who would have a grievance against the boss? Like, but, hey, temporary embarrassed millionaires. That's Americans for you. We kind of crazy out here. It is what it is.
No doubt.
But thanks for letting me go off.
Dope stuff, man.
No doubt, man. Hit us next week. Thanks for your call, man. As usual,
brother, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Y'all be easy.
Yo, everybody, they making our job easy tonight. We had some good calls, some great calls.
That was back-to-back fire calls. Yo, let me ask you a question, man. Is it me though, or
we about to fall off that cliff though in a minute? But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it me?
We about to drop into Bolivian.
Yo, Yo, quick question. I gotta before you do that on top, I gotta ask y'all a question real quick because I don't know what y'all perspective is. Is it me or is it like, you see a fight in a baseball game or a hockey game, it's like treated one way versus the NBA and the NFL. I'm not trying to say nothing. All I'm trying to say is, it was cats asking for Myles Garrett to be arrested. They was talking about assault and what he could be charged with. And I'm like, I hear that in NBA fights, and, NFL fights, but not in the mother. Am I reaching or no?
I mean, I don't know. Like hockey, I never want to put hockey into the mix because, I mean, that's in their rules. Like, you can get down, but you're gonna get a penalty, at the end of it. But I don't know. Baseball, I think the games they play in baseball are real dangerous. Like, it's a game to them to throw a 90-mile-an-hour ball near somebody's head. Like, what if his reflexes ain't like that?
No one calls them criminals or barbaric.
Like, that's assault.
They have a bat.
That's a deadly weapon. Yeah, I mean, you read because that's happened before. They're it's in Gus's new article. Yeah, read that on the website, and it was talking about this. It was way back. This baseball player, I think somebody threw at him, and he ran out there with the bat. I couldn't get from the store if he actually hit the dude, but I think he hit him with his bat. I don't really know what happened to him, but it was way back in the day.
The ball was getting ready. Remember the ball was getting ready to rush the pitch. He turned around and first he kicked the catcher. I know y'all seen that clip.
You know what?
He drop kicked the catcher first.
That's a smart move though, because every time you do that, the catcher is usually right behind you. So as soon as you cock back to hit the pitcher, the catcher gonna sneak you. So if you already got that in your mind, that's good.
He turned around and kicked the ball like Shawn Michaels did Marty Jannetty for those who watch.
If that was a basketball player, I would say he had good court awareness. He know his surroundings. He know what's going on. Just turn around, you just start rushing the pitch and you just turn around and Rudy Tomjanovich, the catcher. Shout out to Kermit. We had a whole lot of stuff we want to talk about. Like I said, we had some great calls. So we let everybody rock tonight, man. Just a couple of things. And we got to talk about some of this later because there's a lot of context and stuff that goes into some of this stuff. But the quote of the week, man, it was something from Luka Doncic, the newest NBA Hall of Famer. He said, "Today when I slept, the nap, I dreamed I was going to score 16 in the first quarter. Then I scored 17. So I was like, dreams don't come true." That was Luka, in the first quarter of his 42-point triple-double. And then the next game, he followed it up with a 30-plus point triple-double, and the talking heads are going crazy. I heard somebody on talk radio this morning ask his co-host, dead serious, is Luka Doncic going to be a top 20 player of all time when it's all said and done? Let him finish year 2. He nice, but let him finish. Calm down. Shout out to LeBron James for the stat of the week. LeBron is the first player to record a triple-double against every team in the NBA. Little bit of context to this. Actually, Russ almost accomplished this first. On October 28th, he was 1 assist shy of a triple-double against the OKC Thunder. This, this is a little easier when you switch teams. Like Magic Johnson would have done it, but he never switched teams. So the only team Magic hasn't gotten a triple-double against is the Los Angeles Lakers. The only team Larry Bird never got a triple-double against is the Boston Celtics because these dudes never switched teams. So this was basically back in those days when superstars generally stayed with the same team. This was kind of impossible. So, but, shout out to the dudes, LeBron, Russ, who should do it in his rematch against OKC. People switch teams these days, so you can do stuff like this. But it's a hell of an accomplishment to score a triple-double against the whole damn league. It's a hell of an accomplishment. Carmelo is back.
Yeah.
Shout out to Melo.
Yeah.
People dogging him already because
he's back out here pissing off all the analytic cats back here. Shout out to Melo.
He out here with his negative per, missing shots, doing what he do. That's my man, and he's where he belongs. I don't care what none of y'all say.
Hey Melo, yo, Melo's the fakest deep quotes ever on IG. Melo got to chill on IG, man. He like an IG sot with them fake deep quotes, but that's either here or there.
We was gonna drop in the Bolivian, but the ball hung up. So, all right. We're gonna shift the whole. Gonna shift the whole show. But what else? Today in sports history, 11/21/73, Pete Rose wins the NL MVP with the Cincinnati Reds. It's a damn shame Pete Rose still ain't in the Hall. In 11/21/1982, the NFL resumed its season following a 57-day player strike. According to Richard Sherman. Get your popcorn ready because that's going to happen again.
A piece of history that we got to touch before we get out of here, man, which was like Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, Ben to the three-pointer, yo.
Woo! Ben! He on his way. Reggie Miller.
That's black history. That is black history, man. Yo,
before we go, though, crazy part about that, that joint was in the flow, smooth. It looked confident. I don't want him. Don't veer out your lane. I don't want you to start doing that all the time. But you gotta do something back there.
You gotta chill now,
keep the defense
right now,
on.
He leads the league in 3-point percentage. He's 100% from the from three. So
and
don't shoot no more.
the Sixers are undefeated in games where Ben Simmons hits a three. That's your real stat of the week. Let's get the hell out of here.
There you go. Let's get out of here, man.
Thank you, brothers
and sisters, for joining us for another briefing in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, Facebook. Anybody who got through, shout out to Reggie for getting through, via social media, then called in. And, shout out to everybody who did get in, man. Great calls tonight. People who didn't get through, we apologize. Special thanks to Fred Perdue and Gus Griffin for their segments. Tune in next week live right here on demand. We're going to talk NFL, everything else happening in the world of sports. Probably Kaepernick again, probably, some sort of racism or some sort of police brutality. We'll be talking about all that. So until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the start of next weekend. We'll see you right back here next time. Catch everything we do in our hub. Our hub is warroomsports.com. Find everything right there. Also, make sure you pick up a copy of my book, Sports the Book, at sportsthebook.com or at that hub of warroomsports.com. But until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We'll see you chumps soon.
Jimmy, know the blueprint. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Shot Back, B. Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.